Wakati bisa ya mangareto mkaka hiyo ndio kama mseme Semba ngoja watu kabisa
bagenda kweyongeza ekisanja
omwana yisa ekindi pasitali alina byonna byanjalo okubira ddala mugundi mu isa kibina kya isa kasomo ali kusaidi isa kasomo ata omuntu yasaidi wale wakati bisa ya mangareto mkaka hiyo ndio kama mseme Semba ngoja watu kabisa
bagenda kweyongeza ekisanja
omwana yisa ekindi pasitali alina byonna byanjalo okubira ddala mugundi mu isa kibina kya isa kasomo ali kusaidi isa kasomo ata omuntu yasaidi wale wayine eno bukamera bose bumanyi kalinga ekikonde bwekate kale no kuba shoot bwe zitole okukuba ebyekisiru oba tomanyi ongamba nga nkuyamba
kati abakutaddeawo ate nga tubyafuna gundi
wayine eno bukamera bose bumanyi kalinga ekikonde bwekate kale no kuba shoot bwe zitole okukuba ebyekisiru oba tomanyi ongamba nga nkuyamba
kati abakutaddeawo ate nga tubyafuna gundi konfune shoti eyo nga bajja abakutawayi bebi oyingidde nnyo mu shuti yaffe ndamuke
sokoveyo ajati
ndamuko sajize nete sebe za muwani kateleza mu katone bendinge mu katone
So they are checking individual by individual.
No, I think they're going to check the vehicles. Let's go then. So we move with.
Yeah, but okay.
Today we came to visit a couple of our comrades There are people that have been in jail for a very long time for no reason whatsoever, because if 4 years later you are still trying to gather evidence, really, it's clear that this is political persecution. It's not prosecution, legal prosecution, it's persecution. So as the office of the leader of the opposition, together with my colleagues, members of parliament from the opposition, we said, let's come and pay a visit to these our comrades to establish, one, how they are. Every once in a while we have been coming, but as an office we thought, let's come together as a group, see the condition in which they are, get an updating. But number one, even before the question of our comrades, we have a real challenge in our country. Many of these prisons, for example, Luzira Upper Prison, its capacity at construction in 1927 was 624. Today it has over 3,000 inmates. More than half of those are on remand. When you go down to Maxon Bay, its capacity was 600. It was built to house 600 inmates. Today it has got 2,933. More than half of which are on remand. So that shows you that our prisons, and that's the situation, by the way, elsewhere. You know, Chitalia, where we are headed to after here, and all the others, you find that the capacity, it's 5 times more. So there's 5 times the number of prisoners, inmates, that are meant to be in these prisons, which is problematic. That's why when they are sleeping, they sleep back to back. It's a violation of their human rights. They sleep back to back. When one of them goes to the bathroom, when they come back, their place has been taken because they just jail in. That's not acceptable. But you see the genesis of this. And while some people are saying the remedy to this is to build many more prisons, no, that's not the solution. Deal with the judicial process, because more than half of these inmates are on remand. 3 to 4 years. Their cases have not kicked off. The state prosecution, they keep saying they are looking for evidence. How do you look for evidence for 4 years? It does not make sense at all. Expedite that process so that we don't have 5 times the number of people meant to be in prisons being here, you know, spreading illnesses and so on, because they sleep back to back. It is total congestion, which is not acceptable. Now, the situation of our colleagues, many of whom that have been in jail, some 3 years, some now 4 years, the state says they're still looking for evidence. Some they say they were found with fire ammunition. Some they say, you know, they were found with, of course, military attire, as they have been saying, treason, and all of these ridiculous trumped-up charges. We have said severally, if you're still looking for evidence, release these people on bail. These are human beings. They've got families. You find a young lady like Olivia Lutaya, a young mother of 2 children. For coming to 4 years, her children, you know, they've not gotten to connect with their mother. There are many other young men, some of whom left their wives pregnant. Their children are 3, 4 years now. They were born when they were not in a, you know, they were not with the families and so on. This is not right. Our clarion call, our demand as leaders in this country, number one, if you are still gathering evidence, as they are saying, release these people on bail, because the Ugandans are still around. And the other day, the court-martial did something which is also not acceptable. These people's parents stood surety for them. And the court-martial said those are not substantial sureties. How can someone's parent not be substantial enough? On Monday, they are going back to court for their bail hearing. As members of parliament, we are mobilizing ourselves to be present with our national IDs, with letters from our LCs, so that we go as sureties. We want to see if court will say, even us, we are not substantial sureties enough. Because this is not acceptable. It cannot continue this way. If you're still gathering evidence, release these people on bail. They'll keep coming back as and when. Besides, anyway, the state normally loses interest because they do not have any evidence whatsoever. Most of these are trumped-up charges. So that's a demand that we are making. Drop the charges because you don't have any evidence. If you're saying you're still looking for evidence, release these people on bail. And then you can gather your evidence and look for it wherever they are trying to get it from heaven, from I don't know where, but that these people get to be freed. The final issue, you see, the laws of the land provide that when somebody has been in jail for 180 days, that is 6 months, their trial has not kicked off. They are meant to be released mandatorily on bail. That's the law. There's a group of them that have been here for 9 months. They have not even been committed to the High Court for trial. You know, they keep appearing for mention at the Magistrates Court. You people don't even have any regard for the law, because you're saying you're holding them here because they are lawbreakers. But you're breaking the law yourselves. 180 days, 6 months, you're supposed to release them on mandatory bail. You cannot keep holding on to them, because that's the law. So we are demanding that if you're saying, as a state, you're holding these people because presumably they broke the law, stop breaking the law yourselves. Follow the law. But most importantly, drop these trumped up charges, because they're trumped up. You cannot say that all these people, they were found with, I don't know, bullets, with whatever, and you cannot even adduce that evidence. But if you're saying you're still looking for the evidence, release them on bail. 4 years is too long a time. It's not acceptable. And that's our demand as leaders in this country. We've spoken about these issues on the floor of Parliament. We said we'll not just talk about them on the floor of Parliament and elsewhere. Let's come on the ground and interact with these people, but also to show the country that this is a very serious matter. And we are calling on our colleagues from the other parties, especially NRM. Tomorrow it might be you here. We have bumped into many people who used to work with the regime here. They were regime functionaries. We have bumped into them in the corridors. They are here. So any of you can end up here. Fix what needs to be fixed. Because these are Ugandans. These are not second-class citizens. Okay, Uganda.
Hey.